This Sunday,
vote! Get out and vote!
Battle for control.
I think Republicans are going to win the House and the Senate. I think they're going to do both.
Republicans need to flip just one seat to gain control of the Senate and only 5 seats to win control of the House.
I want you to watch Nancy Pelosi hand me that gavel.
This morning, the results of our final NBC News poll before the midterms and what it says about the GOP's chances of taking complete power back on Capitol Hill. Plus, democracy at risk.
You can't love your country only when you win.
President Biden issues a dire warning about election deniers and the risk for our electoral system. But will those warnings from Democrats resonate with economically challenged swing voters in the final push before Election Day? And very soon,
I will very probably do it again, okay?
Will former President Trump announce his 2024 bid before we finish counting the 2022 vote? My guest this morning, Florida's Republican Senator Rick Scott, the chair of the GOP's campaign arm, and New York Congressman Sean Patrick Maloney, the chair of the House Democratic campaign arm. Plus,
are you ready to meet the press?
75 years, from presidents to prime ministers, dictators to civil rights leaders. We mark 75 years as the destination where newsmakers come to make news. Joining me for insight and analysis are NBC News Chief White House Correspondent Kristen Welker, former Democratic Senator from Missouri Claire McCaskill, former Republican Governor of North Carolina Pat McCrory, and Amy Walter, Editor-in-Chief of the Cook Political Report. Welcome to Sunday. It's Meet the Press.
From NBC News headquarters in New York, the longest-running show in television history, this is a special edition of Meet the Press with Chuck Todd.
Well, good Sunday morning on our 75th birthday from our election headquarters here at Rockefeller Center in New York City. With just 2 days until Election Day, more than 40 million people have already cast ballots in the first national election since the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. By the way, we expect a record midterm turnout, 120 to 125 million when all the votes are counted. At stake, all 435 House seats. Republicans need a net gain of just 5 to take control of that chamber. It is the smallest number of seats that the out-of-power party has needed since 1932. 35 Senate seats are at stake this cycle. Republicans, of course, need just 1 Democratic seat to flip control of that chamber. There are also 36 governor's races, including in some key 2024 presidential battlegrounds like Arizona, Florida, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. And in our final pre-election poll conducted over the last 3 days, Republicans do appear to have the momentum. Just how big is that momentum? The question is whether Democrats can prevent what former President Obama once called a shellacking. The president's travel in the final stretch says it all about how the Democrats believe the election is going. Outside of the Philadelphia stop with Obama yesterday, President Biden has spent the final days of this campaign not in purple states, but in blue states, California, New Mexico, Illinois, and New York, where he'll be campaigning later today in suburban New York City, Westchester County. And here's why. Biden's job approval rating sits at 44% in this final NBC News poll. By the way, all-time low with independents. His approval rating is just 28%. And let me put this in context for you. What does a job rating mean? Some people believe it's the single most important indicator to understand where a midterm election is going. Bill Clinton's 44% job approval rating translated into a 54-seat loss for his party. A 45% job approval rating for President Obama in 2010 translated to 63 lost House seats. 46% for President Trump, 40 House seat loss for his party. So what will 44% give us? And here's, to me, the number you probably ought to care about the most in this poll. The state of the U.S. economy. 81% tell us they're dissatisfied. This is the second highest number we've ever recorded. The last time it was this high was just before the 2010 election. And you know how that one went. All right, the generic congressional ballot here. We have it dead even, 47-47. It's a slight uptick for the Republicans from 2 weeks ago when it was 47-46. Here's something to keep in mind. Essentially, a tie race probably gives the Republicans the 5 or 6 seats they need. For every percentage point that they lead the Democrats, that's probably anywhere from another 5 to 10 seats that would be added to their total. Just something to watch for on election night. All right, this is key, and this is something that should make Democrats relieved this weekend. Interest in this election, enthusiasm. Democrats have now matched the Republicans dead even. In 2018, they had a slight lead. And, of course, the Democrats had the better night. But let me go inside the numbers and why there's still some warning signs here for the Democrats. There are two enthusiasm numbers in particular that I want to highlight here. African-American voters and young voters. And as you can see, remember, Democrats had a good night in 2018. And right now, African-American voters are not quite at their 2018 levels, and young voters are not quite at their 2018 levels. But look at seniors. Seniors are a little bit more. So this is why Republicans feel good about the end of this. We also asked folks to send us what message, if you could send a message with your vote to Congress, what would you say with it? And here's our word cloud response. And as you can see, fix the economy, the number one message that was sent from voters, and essentially tied for second here, end partisanship and women's rights. So essentially the three big issues of the economy, abortion rights, and the democracy, all represented here, and you can see the voters are engaged on this. By the way, given what happened to Paul Pelosi, we asked voters about the current climate of political violence. Voters are now more likely to view our political rhetoric as an important contributing factor, rather than seeing what happened as some isolated incident. And when we asked who is responsible for this elevated rhetoric, social media companies come out on top, almost universally blamed for our current political climate. Cable news media nearly matches them, then Trump, then Republican officials, Democratic officials, and President Biden there at the bottom. Let's turn back now to the battle for the House, because I want to point out some key numbers here for you to keep track of. In the 7 times since the Truman era, when the president's job rating has been below 50% in his first midterm election, which is what we're staring at with this one, that president's party has lost an average of 43 House seats. And guess what? This cycle, there are 44 Democratic-held seats that are rated as lean or toss-up by the Cook Political Report, and there's just 20 Republican-held seats that are in those same categories in the House battleground. In 2018, you can see it was a much more lopsided battleground here, with the Republicans basically defending almost everything and Democrats barely defending anything. In this cycle, the defense for the Democrats includes the district where Congressman Patrick Maloney is running after redistricting. He also chairs the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, charged with getting House Democrats elected and keeping their majority. And Congressman Maloney joins me now. Welcome back to Meet the Press, 2 days before the election, sir.
Good to be with you.
Well, let me start with this. What constitutes a good night for Democrats on Tuesday?
We're going to hold this majority. That constitutes a good night. We're going to defend our mainstream democratic values against the threats to our democracy. We're going to protect women's reproductive freedom and voting rights. We're going to give you cheaper prices for gas and groceries, health care and housing. And we're going to give you safer streets by funding good local policing with accountability, but also doing something about gun violence. And that is a plan for the future. And because our candidates have real plans, they're going to do better than people think on Tuesday night.
Do you acknowledge, though, that all the data seems to point in the other direction?
Oh, look, I think the poll you just showed shows it's basically tied with the numbers in 2018, which, if I recall, was a pretty good year for Democrats. I think this race is razor close. And I think everybody who cares about the extremism in this MAGA movement, the racism, the anti-Semitism, the violence, needs to get out and vote. And that's not just Democrats. That's independents and fair-minded Republicans who watch the January 6 hearings, who know what we're up against, who listen to Republicans oppose things like Social Security and Medicare, want to put it on the chopping block every 5 years. That's your next guest, by the way. That's his plan. And we've got a plan to cap seniors' out-of-pocket costs in Medicare. There are big differences. I want everybody to go out and vote.
If you lose your race, does that mean this was a wave?
Oh, come on. I've always had a tough race, Chuck. I beat a Republican to have this seat. I'm the first gay person ever elected to Congress from New York. I'm raising an interracial family in a county Donald Trump won in 2016 by 20 points. It has always been improbable that I would serve in the Congress. I have to go out and earn it every 2 years. And I've
So you don't believe your loss,
because
if you happen to lose, you don't think that somehow is part of the national wave, that's something that you got sort of rolled out that way?
Well, I guess what I'm not going to do is play hypotheticals with you when we're 2 days out from an election, and I've won
Fair
five
enough.
times in a district where everybody said I couldn't. I mean, if we were having this conversation in 2012, you would have made fun of me for even running, because I was running against a Republican incumbent with a bunch of money, and nobody thought I could win. So people like me weren't supposed to serve in Congress from New York until I did it. So with all due respect, what Democrats are going to do right now is we're going to go out and fight with everything we've got. For seniors who need cost capped in Medicare, for people worried about gun violence in our schools, for people who want to have a real plan to go forward together without the anger and the fear and the hatred, fighting for women's reproductive freedom and voting rights. Well, that's what we're going to do, and I'm going to let the pundits kind of make predictions. We're going to let the voters speak on Tuesday.
I want to talk about a couple of messaging things that we've seen pop up. There's a lot of blue state Democrats on the House level that are in these competitive seats, Oregon, New York, California. And I'm curious, do you think the abortion message doesn't work as well in blue states because voters don't believe it'll ever be illegal in their state, but it does work pretty well for some of your red state Democrats? Have you noticed this yourself?
Well, of course, when abortion is literally being taken away by an initiative like in Kansas, of course people are going to pay more attention. But of course, Pat Ryan won a race none of you thought he could win in upstate New York, leaning into protecting women's reproductive freedom right here in New York. My own opponent pretends there's no threat to it in New York, but of course he voted to ban abortion when he was in the assembly. And if he had his way, every state in the country could ban it for any reason without exceptions. So the threats are real. If these guys control Congress, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to try to pass a national abortion ban. And bear in mind, 75% of the Republicans now in the Congress support a national abortion ban. That means California and New York and other big blue states are on the chopping block too. And so, of course, they want to disguise it and try to confuse or lull voters into a false sense of security. But when the wolf comes to the door, it's wearing sheep's clothing. And that's what voters in blue states need to understand.
Do you believe the Democrats should have worked sooner on getting a better crime message? It's an argument Stan Greenberg, Bill Clinton's longtime pollster, has made and said that Democrats didn't learn, even though many in the party said the right things about avoiding the phrase defund the police, that there wasn't enough done fixing the problems that clearly showed up in 2020 House races. What say you?
Well, let's look at the record. I mean, for one thing, we passed the most important gun safety legislation in 28 years. Stood up to the NRA, stood up to the big gun lobbies, and no Republicans, except a handful, were willing to help. That's really important. In addition to that, we've passed the most important local police funding, $300 million over the next 5 years out of the House. That's called the Invest to Protect Act. And if you look at our frontline candidates, my goodness, whether it's Stephen Horsford in Nevada, who's put billions of dollars through his legislation into violence prevention initiatives that are evidence-based, or you're talking about Matt Cartwright in Pennsylvania, who's been a leader in getting cop grants out there to hire and train more police officers. In my own district, I've brought back $7 million for local police departments, including new technologies like ShotSpotter technology, like license plate readers, like body cameras. We've got a record of delivering for public safety, and we're proud of that record.
Yes, and there's a bill, though, that was going to be a pretty big bill that every single national law enforcement group supported. It was called the Community-Oriented Policing Services Bill. COPS was short of it. Let me show you the bill's co-sponsors here, because it's a who's who of who Republicans are targeting in these House races. Tom O'Halloran, Arizona 1, Alyssa Slotkin, Michigan 7, Angie Craig, Minnesota 2, Elaine Luria, Virginia 2, and Abigail Spanberger, Virginia 7. Was it a mistake not getting this bill passed? You could have gotten it passed. These members of Congress needed it, and they're all on the front line.
I just told you those members were in the lead on passing $300 million of funding for police departments under 125 officers. That's every precinct and every town and cop in my district is in a department under 125 officers. Those members took the lead. And so the fact is that together with the gun safety legislation, which the cops demand because they don't want to roll up to a scene and have a kid with an AR-15, we have done real things. Now let's contrast that to what our opponents have done, which is nothing on gun violence, which is nothing on supporting our police. My own opponent cut police budgets in Westchester County when he had the chance. I mean, my goodness, at some point the record should matter here, and we've got a strong record of supporting police.
Final question here. Midterm results are very much always connected to presidential job rating. How much responsibility do you think President Biden has for this political environment?
I think the president gets a bum rap. By the way, he's been a leader on public safety his whole career. He's also fixing our roads and our bridges. He's bringing jobs back from China. He's capping seniors' out-of-pocket costs in Medicare. He took on the big drug companies. If you want to know why all this dark money's coming into these races, because we took on the big drug companies. He's helping our veterans with extraordinary health care, $250 billion. He's done gun safety legislation. And let's not forget the rescue plan that saved every small business and restaurant and live venue in the country. I think the guy gets a bum rap. I think he's working through the damage of the Trump years and the pandemic, and he's not getting enough credit for it. Now, we've got more to do, and he'll be the first one to tell you that.
You know, based on all of your answers to me, it sounds like you don't believe Democrats did anything wrong. You believe if you don't do well, it's simply you had bad messaging or you didn't communicate it right. Is that your basic take here?
Well, first of all, neither you or I know what's going to happen on Tuesday, so what do you say we wait to see? But secondly, look, what I'm telling you is we're not perfect, but we are responsible adults who didn't attack the Capitol on January 6th, didn't try to whitewash it. Don't pretend we're for law enforcement and then ignore 140 cops getting beat up on that horrible day. We're not perfect, but we've got a plan for gun violence and for bringing jobs back from China. You don't like it? What's yours? We took on the big drug companies. The other side won't do that because they're awash in big drug company money. No, we're not perfect, Chuck. We've got all kinds of things we can do better. But we are responsible adults who believe in this democracy and who are fighting for a better future.
Sean Patrick Maloney, chair of the DCCC. He's on the ballot himself. Be safe on the campaign trail, sir. Appreciate you coming on in these closing days to share your perspective. Thank you. And now I want to bring in Republican Senator Rick Scott of Florida. He's in charge of getting Republicans elected to the Senate. He chairs the National Republican Senatorial Committee, and he joins me now. Senator Scott, welcome back to Meet the Press, sir.
Well, congratulations on 75 years.
I appreciate that. 3,600 episodes and then some. Let me start with this. You've not been shy about saying you believe Republicans are going to get 52 seats. Can you get 52 Senate seats without
I think
Pennsylvania?
We're going to have a great night.
Yeah, can you do it without Pennsylvania?
We're going to get 52 plus. Oh, we're going to win Pennsylvania.
I understand you believe you are.
Wisconsin.
Do you believe you're going to get to 52? Can you get it without it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, here's where we are right now. We're going to win. We're going to win Wisconsin. Ron Johnson's running a great race. First off, let's stop and think about it. We have great candidates. People are showing up to vote. There's no energy on the Democrat side. This election is about the Biden agenda. People don't like high inflation, high crime, open borders, fentanyl. That's what we're talking about. So Mehmet Oz is going to win. Ted Budd's going to win. Herschel Walker's going to win. Adam Laxalt's going to win. I think we have a really good shot in Arizona. I think we have a real good shot in New Hampshire. I think we have a shot in Washington and Colorado. We maybe even have a shot, depends on the voters, in Connecticut. Think about it. Half of the Democrats' seats, we are in the hunt to win. So we're going to get 52 plus.
Yeah. Let me ask you about Arizona and New Hampshire. You didn't put them in your win category yet. You put them in there. You think you have a shot there. Coincidentally or not, those are the two seats that Senator McConnell's super PAC chose to pull out of and not invest in. In hindsight, was that a mistake?
Well, we've invested all along. I've always believed Blake Master has every reason to believe he can win. He's running a great race. We've defined Kelly as somebody that has voted against the border in Arizona 3 times, has always voted with Schumer and Biden. And then we got Hassan, who has a very difficult time up there because she's voted basically 100% with the Democrats. And so I think Don Bullock's got a really good chance of winning. I think actually, if I was predicting now, I believe we're going to win both Arizona. I believe we're going to win New Hampshire.
If you come up short in the Senate and Arizona and New Hampshire are the reason, whose fault is that?
Well, I don't believe we're going to come up short. I believe we got great candidates. I think the issues are on our side. We did our job at the NRSC. We explained exactly who the Democrats were. We did the first day I started in this job, and we've done it all along. So I don't think we have that risk. I think we're going to win.
All right, let's assume you've got the majority. I'm going to take you at your word. You're going to get the House. You're going to get the Senate. What's the first bill a Republican Congress sends to the president's desk that you actually think he would sign?
I think the issues, we've got to deal with inflation, so we've got to figure out how to spend our money wisely so we don't continue this inflation. I think we've got to do whatever we can to get this crime rate down, so I think we have to look at that. We've got to secure the border. I think we've got to get rid of the 87,000 new IRS agents. So I think we have to address the issues that people are worried about right now, and they're worried about those issues, the fentanyl. So I think that's what we need to focus on. So we've got to make sure our military is focused on being lethal, not woke. So I think those are the things that we have to focus on.
Well, let me ask you, in inflation, you saw that's the number one issue. People are dissatisfied with this economy. What's the first bill you guys can pass that you think can impact inflation?
I think the thing we have to work on is it's on inflation. It's all tied to reckless government spending. We've got to get our budget in control. We've got to figure out how we're going to balance the budget. So that's the first thing we have to do. We have to get
it doesn't really sound like, I don't mean to,
control. I did as governor. I balanced the budget 8 years. We got to keep doing it.
Yeah, all the experts say legal immigration is the number one thing we need to deal with in Congress in order to deal with inflation. Everything else is on the Fed, but that's the number one issue. Are you guys going to deal with that?
Yeah. Oh, I hope we deal with first securing the border, figuring out how we have legal immigration where people who want to live our dream can come in here. But I think let's go back. We have got to figure out how to spend our money better. We've got to figure out how do we get to a balanced budget and preserve the programs we care about. That's what we have to do. If we don't, we'll never get inflation under control.
Let me ask you, you've been asked a million different ways about Social Security. You know the Democrats want to bring this issue up. Sunsetting the program every 5 years for renewal. Why do that? Why put Social Security into sort of the political arena every 5 years? Why put seniors through that? Why do you think that's a good idea?
I have no interest in changing the Medicare program. I want to make sure we preserve the benefits of Medicare and Social Security. I don't know one Republican wants to change that. In my plan, I said we have got to start being honest with the public that what's our plan? Medicare is going bankrupt. Social Security is going bankrupt. Here's what the Democrats did. They just cut $280 billion. Every Democrat that's running right now in the Senate, okay, and those in the House, they all voted to cut $280 billion out of Medicare, which is going to cut life-saving drugs. They did this.
Joe Biden you're playing a math game.
Senate,
you are playing a math game there, Senator.
That, he didn't pay his taxes.
Senator, you're playing a math game here. You're playing a math game. They didn't cut anything on Medicare. It's cost savings having to do with the prescription drug benefit. Look, I understand that you want to call it something else, but
Chuck, if you cut spending in Medicare, it's probably going to impact the ability for somebody to provide things. When you cut out $280 billion, there's a life things in drugs that your mom will not get. That's what's going to happen.
All right, I will remember this. Chuck, when you guys claim a Medicare cut isn't a cut.
$280 billion out of Medicare reduction is going to cut life-saving drugs. That's bad for citizens. It's real simple.
All right, I want to ask you something that Marjorie Taylor Greene said at a Trump rally 4 days ago. Take a listen.
Under Republicans, not another penny will go to Ukraine.
Senator, is she right?
I think we have to continue to do everything we can to support Ukraine, who wants to defend their freedom and stop Russia from continuing to expand. I don't want to end up in a war with Russia. If we don't continue to help Ukraine the right way, we can't waste our dollars, then they're going to be in Poland or some other country where we will be at war because they're part of our NATO alliance. So I want to figure out how do we make sure that Ukraine can defend their freedom and we stop Russia.
A couple of quick questions about your future. If Republicans gain the Senate majority, do you plan to run for leader?
I'm not focused on anything except getting a majority Tuesday night. Everybody wants to ask me about a bunch of things that are going to happen after Tuesday night. My whole focus is Tuesday night.
So leave it out there. It's a possibility.
Night.
It's a possibility. All right.
I'm focused on what I get done Tuesday night.
Former President Trump has hinted he may announce in 8 days. If he's an active candidate for president, are you supporting him?
There's going to be a lot of people probably announce. We'll watch what happens. I'm focused on getting a majority in the Senate.
And before I let you go, are you going to accept the results of all the Senate elections on Tuesday night?
Absolutely. But what we're also going to do is do everything we can to make sure they're free and fair. And if there's any shenanigans, we are ready to make sure we support our candidates to make sure that these elections are fair and every ballot is counted the right way.
But it sounds like you're pretty confident that everything is going to be on the up and up, doesn't it?
We're going to try. We're going to try. We're going to try our best. I'm so disappointed the Democrats don't want to have voter ID. Have it for everything else. They don't want ballot. We shouldn't have ballot harvesting. But I'm going to do everything I can to make sure this election is free and fair. And we've got to keep improving our elections laws every year that we can.
Senator Rick Scott, Republican from Florida, head of the NRSC. As
Happy
you
birthday.
travel around the country, please stay safe on the trail, sir. And thanks for that. And thanks for your perspective. When we come back, we're going to do the battleground states that will determine who controls the Senate. Our correspondents are on the ground with the candidates as they make their closing arguments before E-Day. Welcome back. We have correspondents on the ground in the 4 most important battleground states for the Senate, Georgia to Arizona to Nevada. But of course, we're going to begin in the state of Pennsylvania because, frankly, that is where all the presidents seem to want to be. Both parties see the Pennsylvania Senate race between Democrat John Fetterman and Republican Mehmet Oz as essentially probably the most critical state to decide control of the Senate. It's certainly one of the closest contests out there. Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and Donald Trump, all of them were in the Keystone State Saturday making their closing arguments.
Your right to vote is on the ballot. Social Security and Medicare is in the ballot. There's something else on the ballot. Character. Character's on the ballot.
Reason and basic decency are on the ballot. Democracy itself is on the ballot. The stakes are high.
2024, most importantly, we are going to take back our magnificent, oh, it's so beautiful, White House. We're going to take it back, and you're going to be hearing about it very soon. Very soon.
Well, my colleague Dasha Burns is in Philadelphia, perhaps the most important county to Democratic hopes of holding the Senate. Dasha.
Yeah, Chuck, you said it. Not one, not two, but 3 presidents all in this state, all on the same day, underscoring the outsized importance of this state. President Biden and former President Obama on the campaign trail together for the first time in this midterm election. And their joint effort was here in Philadelphia. You said it there too, Chuck. This city and its surrounding suburbs, the turnout here could make or break it for Democrats. And the suburban voters we've been talking to in this area, Chuck, consistently list inflation and crime as their top issues. And Oz has tried to make a play for those voters, focusing on that issue of public safety and trying to paint himself as a moderate candidate, which is a pivot from his MAGA approach in the primary that won him the endorsement of former President Donald Trump. And the question is, will that rally he had with Trump last night, will that help or hurt him, especially in his effort to win over these purple suburbs? It's going to matter because every single vote won this weekend will be critical in a race that's become a dead heat in the home stretch here, Chuck.
No doubt if Oz comes up short, that attendance with Mastriano and Trump, that rally is going to get questioned. All right, let's go across the country. Let's go to the state of Arizona. That is where Phoenix's Maricopa County 2 years ago broke a 72-year streak of voting Republican for president when Biden won that key county 2 years ago. Now, Arizona is the center of election denialism and the cycle's biggest test of Donald Trump. After Arizona Republicans picked Trump-like nominees up and down the ticket from governor to Senate to Secretary of State, Vaughn Hilliard is on the ground for us in Phoenix. Vaughn, how is get out the vote, which going in Arizona with, weeks for counting?
Right. It's a matter of turnout here at this point. And Chuck, I think it's important to note that this is ground zero for election denialism. In that quartet of GOP candidates, they are traveling around this state together. Kari Lake leading the charge. Each of these 4 individuals would be responsible for certifying Arizona's election results in 2024. But when you are looking at this, Katie Hobbs said that if she were to win on Tuesday night and beat Kari Lake for governor, the top reason would be because Arizonans rejected the election conspiracy theories. Now, in order to do that, the Republicans have a 4 percentage point voter registration advantage over Democrats here, meaning that these Democratic candidates will need to win over major swaths of independents like Kyrsten Sinema did in 2018 and Mark Kelly did in 2020, as well as winning over some of those more reticent conservatives, those individuals who are reticent to Trumpism. For Mark Kelly and these other Democrats, though, they are pressing that this is more than about the threat to democracy, but also about the threat to women's reproductive rights, as well as the threat to to Social Security. Chuck?
All right. Vaughn Hilliard on the ground for us in Phoenix. Vaughn, thank you. Now let's go just northwest of Arizona to the state of Nevada. When the country gets the cold economically, Nevada usually gets the flu. And it's in Nevada where Democrats are fighting to hold on to office up and down the ballot. Governor Steve Sisolak, Senator Catherine Cortez Masto, and all three House Democratic incumbents are in some tough re-election challenges. My colleague Jacob Soboroff is in Las Vegas. Jacob, another one where it's all about partisan turnout.
Partisan turnout, and also, if Arizona is ground zero for election denialism, Nevada is certainly one of the epicenters, Chuck, and the stakes could not be higher on that front as well. I was here almost exactly 2 years ago and watched with my own eyes as Senator Masto's opponent, Adam Laxalt, held that press conference the day after the election with all those Trump surrogates alleging thousands of illegal ballots here in Las Vegas and in the state of Nevada. Ultimately, that turned out to be completely untrue. But even with President Biden speaking out last week saying democracy itself could be on the line as we crisscross neighborhoods here in Las Vegas over the weekend with that powerful culinary workers union, the issue we continue to hear over and over again was unaffordability in Las Vegas. Nevada, of course, is a state with one of the worst unemployment rates and the highest inflation rate in the nation. But at the end of the day, it's all going to come down to turnout. And quick story, we were walking the streets here and we met 18-year-old Alberto. He was fixing up his car outside the house he shares with his mom and his dad. And he said, it is not all the negative attack ads on social media. It's not all the negative attack ads he's hearing on his streaming service. Ultimately, it's going to be face-to-face contact with those canvassers that convinced him that ultimately he can make a difference and that's going to get him out to vote, Chuck.
Well, those are the most important undecided voters, those that are undecided about voting. Jacob, thank you. And finally, let's go to the state that could keep us wondering about Senate control for a month. Good old Georgia. That's where we also find Governor Brian Kemp's reelection as a test of whether the Republicans can split from Donald Trump in a reddish state and win. And he may win big. And if Kemp has coattails, can he pull Senate nominee Herschel Walker over the finish line? The early vote in Georgia is shattering records. Blaine Alexander is in Atlanta and has been tracking these races really since January 5th, 2021, when these Senate races were first decided. Blaine, what do you got?
Absolutely, Chuck. And you talk about shattering records. Certainly, we have seen that here in Georgia. In fact, more people have voted early during this midterm election than any other midterm in state history. We're talking about some 2.5 million ballots already cast with two very important races on the ballot. So talking about Georgia's gubernatorial race, Stacey Abrams is once again on the ballot. Of course, she's the one who is widely credited with helping flip the state blue back in 2020 for President Biden. The question this time around is, can she do it again now that she is on the ballot? Now, of course, leading the Republican ticket is Governor Brian Kemp. The last time he faced off against Stacey Abrams was back in 2018, and at the time, he was a Trump-endorsed candidate. But since then, of course, he's had a rather public split from the former president over the results of the 2020 presidential election here in Georgia. But still, the latest polls show that Governor Kemp is leading Stacey Abrams by about 6 points or so, and that's certainly good news, could be good news for down-ballot Republicans who are hoping to get some sort of a boost from Governor Kemp. Chuck.
Well, we can see that everybody's in daylight. Get ready. Drink your coffee, guys. Dasha, Vaughn, Jacob, and Blaine. It's going to be a long, long week. Up next, the only thing we know for sure on Tuesday night is that there will be a red moon. But the real question is whether that's going to translate to a red wave. We're not kidding about the red blood moon, by the way. Our panel is here, and they'll be here next. All right. It's panel time. NBC News Chief White House Correspondent Kristen Welker, also co-anchor of Weekend Today. Amy Walter, publisher and editor-in-chief of the Cook Political Report. She's going to tell us the definition of a wave. Former Republican Governor Pat McCrory of North Carolina and former Democratic Senator Claire McCaskill of Missouri. Every elected official, Amy, believes a wave is whatever happens when they lose.
I win.
Right. Right. Either way, right?
Yeah.
It's always about them,
yes.
Which Sean Patrick Maloney wouldn't engage in. Give me your definition of when you would think this is a wave. What is a wave, and how would you define it?
Right. I mean, we can define it, you're right, any way we would like. But look, I think there are three scenarios that we're looking at. One is what a lot of Republicans feel like is happening right now. The bottom is falling out. Mm-hmm. Democrats aren't going to show up, not as many as Republicans. Republicans are fired up. Independents break overwhelmingly for Republicans. Yeah. That's a wave. That's 30-plus seats. I would say that would be a wave. Plus, the Senate, it's not just they win one seat, but maybe two or three. I think we're somewhere in between scenario 2 and 3, which is, as your poll showed, both sides really energized, going to show up. We're totally polarized, so there are not defectors. To me, it's also, where do those independent voters go? When you get a wave election, independents break by double digits for the out party, and they're not breaking it. So it makes me think either one, they are still sitting on the fence, but are they breaking and just not telling us? Or two, maybe they don't show up. And that is another question. What does that look like in an electorate that's just D&R intensity?
I do want to remind people, only twice this century have we had a national election without party control changing of either the White House, House, or Senate.
That's right.
So keep that in mind.
Absolutely. Well, and Democrats and those who are close to President Biden say if we can hold Republicans to 20 seats in the House, that's a pretty good night, because look at how many seats former President Obama and former President Trump lost. We're talking about 60 and 40 respectively. And so I think that that's part of why you're seeing the president try to focus on this messaging of democracy, that democracy is on the ballot. Some Democrats scratching their heads. Why is he talking about that and not the economy? The pushback is because that's what's going to energize the base and try to mitigate those losses that they're trying to stave off. It's a risky strategy, though, Chuck, because as you've been talking about with all of your guests, the main issues are still inflation and the economy.
You know, Claire, I've had Democrats quietly say, look, it better be only 20 seats. Because they want to be able to get it back in 24. And if it gets too big, then it becomes hard to get back in 24. That's double for the Senate.
Well, here's the deal. Listen, this time of year is exciting for all of us who are so close to it, but it also gives me a giant headache. I mean, it is like so ridiculous. Because,
well, you've been on the ballot. How does it feel when you're on the ballot?
I have won when the polls said I couldn't, and I have lost when the polls said I would win. So I am not a big believer in all of the horse race stuff. I think a lot of people are motivated to vote, and I think historically, to call it a wave, it would have to be the same size as Donald Trump lost after his first 2 years in the presidency. We would have to lose more than 40 seats, more than 60 seats, for it not to be lining up with what happens historically. And, you know, inflation is really hard, but what most Americans don't get, this is global. This is not Joe Biden. We have some of the least inflation in the developed world. But he has not been able to really get that home, because when bread costs that much and when eggs cost that much, that's what people vote about.
You know, it's interesting. Republicans start at such a high point, though. They only need 20 to 25 to hit the number that they've had in the past on this. Pat, are your sources in North Carolina telling you, what are you hearing? Is it a polarized electorate, or do you see a break?
In North Carolina, it feels like a wave. But as Claire and I know, I've played this game and I've been played by the game. The last week or two is all about emotion, no content. In fact, most of this election has been about emotion and no content, which is a very sad commentary.
By the way, do you know that 70% of people told us they made up their mind before Labor Day?
Yeah.
70%.
If the negative ads haven't worked by now, they're not working. If you've tried to hit emotional link, they've heard it all. They're sick of TV ads right now. But the Dems are trying to play on the emotion of democracy, abortions, cutting Social Security, which is an old, tried, sometime very effective effort, and Trump. Although they haven't talked about Trump as much as I thought they would. The Republicans, I think, still have the winners. Inflation, especially related to energy, which Rick didn't mention. The gas prices, the price of egg, the price of turkey as Thanksgiving's coming up. That is what everyone's reminded of every day. That's why I give advantage to the Republicans. Immigration, Biden and Harris are an issue also. They don't consume a room. They don't have standing when they walk in the room. Some people do. Obama does. Biden and Harris don't.
No, in fairness, nobody has standing when their approval ratings are in the low 40s. It's amazing how much your standing gets better when you're in the 50%. In fairness, Joe Biden was a 1% candidate. He had no standing in 08.
The issue is going to be,
right? In fairness.
The issue is going to be with Trump going to Ohio and Florida, which is a whole nother issue.
Well,
Biden going. Are they going to turn off more votes?
I was just going to say, let me bring up, this was Donald Trump last night. He is clearly focused on an election. Not this one.
Focused on himself?
Yeah, I know. And he ain't focused on this election. Here he is rattling off poll numbers to his rally goers the other night. Listen to this from last night.
There it is, Trump at 71, Ron DeSanctimonious at 10%, Mike Pence at 7%. Oh, Mike's doing better than I thought. Liz Cheney, there's no way she's at 4%. There's no way. There's no way. But we're at 71 to 10 to 7 to 4.
Ron DeSanctimonious. Okay, this idea that we were overhyping a Trump-DeSantis rivalry, no.
No, we're not. I mean, he already has a nickname for a potential rival. Chuck, I had a conversation overnight with a high-level source who's been in constant communication with former President Trump, who said he very seriously considered announcing last night or sometime this weekend. His aides advisors have urged him not to do that. Cooler heads prevailed, I'm told, and he didn't. He all but said that on the record, by the way. He all but walked up to the line of announcing that he was running for president again by saying, I will very, 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 he added a fourth very, probably do it. He said, but I want the focus to be on these candidates. And I am told he is just itching to announce to potentially freeze the field. But the question is, will he?
I've talked to people that said the smartest thing you could do is hurry up and announce. It would freeze the field. But Claire, if you could have Donald Trump do one thing in the last 48 hours, is it this?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Absolutely.
Claire,
go for it, Donald.
Is it the last thing you want him doing? Right.
I wouldn't. If I'm Republican, I don't want Trump to take away from the message that's going to win, and I don't want. And if I'm a Democrat, I don't want Biden out there either.
Yeah, Democrats are welcoming this,
2 weeks
no
ago.
doubt.
When we come back, our guide to how to watch election night. With election counts that could take days, we're going to give you some clues about where to look on Tuesday night itself. Welcome back, data download time. Even though we're all counting down to Tuesday, let's be realistic. It's highly likely we will not know the full results of the midterms on election night. In fact, by 6 a.m., the day after Election Day 2020, look at all the battleground states where we were not at 95%, let alone 99%. Right? Look, Wisconsin, Ohio, North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. We should at least know where these are trending. We should know if Georgia's in a runoff by 6 a.m. But look at the problem here. Pennsylvania, 78%. New Hampshire, just 75% reporting. Arizona, Nevada. The states that are going to decide this majority, we're not going to know the day after the election. But we're going to get some clues about the House very early on. Virginia and Indiana, their polls close by 7 p.m., and they're both fast-counting states. So here's what we're going to learn. Elaine Luria, this should be the first district Republicans should be able to pick up. If they're not picking this up, it's suddenly a much better night for Democrats than people thought. Virginia 7 and Indiana 1 should be the next two that Republicans flip if they're going to have as good of a night as they think they're going to have. And let me add another district here. If for some reason this turns into a red tsunami, keep an eye on the 10th Congressional District in Virginia. That was the one Barbara Comstock held. If that flips, then you know a huge Republican night. Now, did African Americans turn out? Two places to watch, Milwaukee County and Philadelphia County. Democrats need huge margins here, and if the African American vote shows up, and it looks like 2018, then they should feel pretty good. But if those numbers are lower, then you know that there was a problem. How about young voters? Dane County is a good place to check in Wisconsin, home of the University of Wisconsin. Center County's home of Penn State University. Will the Democrats get these margins and the raw vote that they need? That's two places to look for. Now, as for Republicans, they want a huge rural turnout. Well, Putnam County in Ohio, look at that. He had a 62-point margin in 2018. Will it get bigger? That's something to watch there. Chattooga County in Georgia, this is Marjorie Taylor Greene's district. How big will the Republican turnout be? That should matter. And then also, if Republicans are going to have a really good night, they've got to improve their numbers in suburban counties. Delaware County is a place to look here. This is a place Democrats have been inching and eroding the Republican gains here. Will that continue or not? Cherokee County, sort of an exurb, if you will, of Atlanta. Democrats have been making some progress there. Let's see what happens in 2022. So bottom line is this. Those are the places to watch, but it's going to be election week, not election night. Up next, we mark a milestone for this program. 75 years as the longest running show in the history of television. Welcome back. We are celebrating our diamond anniversary, 75 years of Meet the Press. It was November 6, 1947, at 8 p.m. when NBC Television debuted this program. Now, more than 3,500 episodes later, we've had 12 moderators. 13 presidents have answered questions here, including 6 while in office. Our legacy has evolved with the times, but the goal remains consistent: a fair exchange of views and perspective that gives our viewers important context on the issues of the day. Here's a look at some of our memorable moments.
Are you ready to meet the press?
I suppose I'm as ready as I will be.
Democracy is my idea. I understand that. I've broken the ice.
We confront the fact that the Negro is still a victim.
Were you bitter ever?
I was not bitter then. I'm not bitter now.
Neither I nor the American people would support the sending of an American team to Moscow.
This war can be ended, and it should be ended now.
Full wrath. That's a very strong statement to the Afghans this morning.
It is indeed.
The Watergate matter should have been handled properly.
Some people, when you say the word conservative, automatically think you're talking about a monster who eats his young.
So you want to be president?
I do. Does Sarah Palin and I disagree on a specific issue? Yeah, because we're both mavericks.
There's a new generation, and for that reason, I'll be voting for Senator Barack Obama.
We are going to be able to not just blunt the momentum of ISIL. Ultimately, we're going to defeat them.
Men marrying men, women marrying women, and heterosexual men and women marrying women all are entitled to the same exact rights.
In 4 years, you're going to be interviewing me, and you're going to say, what a great job you've done, President Trump.
Because if it is Sunday.
If it's Sunday. If it's Sunday. If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press. Well, look, I'm going to make you guys toast us. You're not toasting me. We're toasting everybody. And you've all picked your favorite race that you're following on election night. We don't have a lot of time, so Pat, what is yours?
My race, my house seat in North Carolina, where I live. Jeff Jackson, Pat Harrigan.
All right.
Sadly, there's been violence. And how the public will respond to violence, possibly due to a commercial.
Oh, wow. Claire?
Nevada.
The whole state?
It's going to tell us about the fate of election deniers, Hispanic voters, and whether or not a really good incumbent can hold on.
Very quick.
Georgia Senate race, will it go to a runoff?
Yeah, ruin our Thanksgiving.
You took mine, of course. Virginia 7. This is a seat that went for Biden in 2020, went for the Republican governor in 2021.
It's as swingy as it gets. All right, before we go, a quick programming note. I hope you join us on Tuesday for complete election coverage of election night, beginning at 6 o'clock Eastern on NBC News Now and at 8 p.m. on NBC and simulcast on NBC News Now. That's all for today and for 75 years of today's. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next week because if it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
Celebrating 75 years of Meet the Press, the longest running show on television.